Welcome to board.com presentation on understanding ASAP methodologies. Now, what does it stand for? ASAP stands for Accelerated SAP Methodology. Basically, it's an implementation methodology. See, the purpose of ASAP methodology is to help you in managing the SAP implementation as a project. Yes, you are implementing it for an enterprise to manage their business, but SAP implementation itself is a project by itself. So this methodology helps you manage this implementation well. Its goal is to effectively optimize the time, people, quality using this particular methodology of SAP called ASAP methodologies. And ASAP provides templates, methods, tools and accelerators for success of SAP implementations. Now there is one very well known tool by SAP called SAP Solution Manager. This is widely used. There are of course many other tools, but Solution Manager is one of the tool that most of the implementations they would use it. These are the stages what ASAP methodology proposes. The first stage is project preparation, second business blueprint, third realization, fourth final preparation, fifth go live and support. Now let's look at each of this in detail. Now the first phase, project preparation, what do we do? There will be goal setting where they define project goals and objectives, and obviously taking support of all the stakeholders and senior level management from the enterprise where we are trying to implement SAP, and establish the project organization and relevant committees, because when a new solution is coming into the enterprise where every end user or business users have to use this particular system, there has to be really a committee to be formed from the enterprise side to drive this new solution in. So this would be there. And then comes the implementation sequence. You have to clearly define what is the sequence of the implementation. Probably you may want to first finish this particular business area, then you would want to take up the next business area where you want to implement SAP. So that entire sequence of implementation has to be very clearly defined. And from implementation partner side, there has to be a qualified and capable project team that we have to build. Yes, taking signature from customer is one more important element of every phase in ASAP methodologies. We have to take signature from customer on all the required documents. Phase 2 is a very important phase, business blueprint phase. The basic purpose of this phase is to understand the customer process, the enterprise process where we are trying to implement SAP end to end, so that we document all of this as documents and we take signature from the customer. To understand the process, the very first thing what we would do is prepare set of questions to the client so that we get all the answers and we understand the process. That is usually called as the scope document, where we post all the questions. This is the scope document. And then comes as is. As is document is prepared by us, means by implementation consultant, explains his understanding of the process as it is. That's why it is called as is document. Then comes to be document, where going forward how they would run their business using SAP, that would be defined, which we call it as to be document. And also there will be gap analysis document. What happens is, if in case, let's say in their legacy system, they were running the process in a particular fashion, and in SAP out of the box, let's say it is not possible to achieve exactly the way they were doing in their legacy system or the earlier system. So this becomes a gap. Probably this may become input for the management to decide whether they want to go for customization of this, in the sense writing codes to achieve this particular functionality, or they may want to put it as a task for the next stage of implementation. It is up to the management to decide. So that is what is gap analysis. And yes, again, taking signature from the client on all the important documents is very important task that we have to do. Then the next one is phase 3, realization. In this phase, the functional experts are ready to begin the SAP configuration. And this particular phase is broken into mainly two parts. One is the baseline section and another one is the fine-tuning section. SAP consulting team will configure the baseline system, and the implementation project team, if necessary, if there is any fine-tuning is needed, they would do rest of the work, which we call it as fine-tuning configuration. And also note, in this phase, team has to document the configurations that they are going to implement, and also this also needs to be taken signature from the client. This document is very important because if, let's say, X company implemented SAP, a particular module or the particular business section, now tomorrow Y company comes in for maintenance or any of these changes, they should understand what was done before. So documentation at every stage is very important in SAP implementation process. And then comes phase 4, final preparation. The very basic purpose of this phase is to complete the final preparation, including the unit testing. Unit testing in the sense we are going to test the module or the business side which we have implemented within that particular section or the module. And then comes the integration test where we integrate different modules. Let's say I do something in PLM section, it has to trigger something else in some other module. So this integration test will be done in this particular phase. And then comes the user training. We have to train sometimes the super users so that they in turn train their subordinates. That is a possibility. Or we may sometimes train the entire business users. And also there is need for us to prepare the documents needed for the future usage. And also we would be calling the business users to do a user acceptance test, UAT. And once they test and everything is fine, if everything is right, going in the direction what they were expecting, they would sign off. Or we may have to fine tune again, go back and do the changes whatever is necessary. And once they are okay with that, we are going to take signature from the client. And then there would be another important stage called cutover period. There would be a strategy wherein data migration has to happen during this time. The earlier system, legacy system, will be made to go down, and all the data that is there on the legacy system or their earlier system would be migrated onto SAP. And for this migration there would be many different techniques, different methods that we would be using. There are some tools like LSMW or SCAT or BDC, and there are many even third-party applications also available when it comes to migrating the data. And then comes go live. The purpose of this phase is to move from the project oriented pre-production environment to the live production and operation phase. In this phase we'll be setting up a production support team, monitoring the system transactions and optimizing the overall system performance if necessary. We would be setting up a help desk and also the competency center to manage the process that we have implemented going forward. This support would be maybe for 3 months or 6 months or a year, depending on what kind of contract is there between two companies. Congratulations, this completes your course on understanding SAP objects and even ASAP methodologies. Thanks for giving your time. Thank you.